Ok, muy buenos días a todas las personas que nos acompañan desde Latinoamérica, desde las diferentes perspectivas, desde las diferentes regiones y desde los diferentes países, desde la Ciudad de México, obviamente hasta Argentina, Chile, Brasil, obviamente. Para mí es un gusto compartir estos espacios desde la Cámara de Comercio Latinoafricana, en el cual nosotros abrimos oportunidades y somos aquel agente dinamizador entre las relaciones comerciales entre el continente latinoamericano y el continente africano. Hoy en este conversatorio tengo el gusto de compartir espacio con el señor embajador de Etiopía para la República Federativa de Brasil y Latinoamérica, y con él vamos a estar dialogando de cuáles son esas oportunidades que representa Etiopía y cómo nosotros desde Latinoamérica nos podemos acercar y encontrar estas oportunidades comerciales desde Latinoamérica a este gran y bello país. Este conversatorio va a ser guiado en inglés. Y bueno, tenemos tres usos de diferencia. Son las 10:08 en Colombia, aproximadamente 12:08 en Brasilia, donde se encuentra el señor embajador, y aproximadamente 6 de la tarde en Addis. Bueno, para comenzar este espacio, pues va a hacer el switch to English. So, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me as a Vice President of the Latin African Chamber of Commerce to be with you and hold this webinar and the official launch of our commercial mission to Ethiopia in November. This mission looks to search the Ethiopian business environment and the opportunities that Ethiopia has to offer from the Latin American countries. For me, as a vice president of the Latin African Chamber of Commerce, it's a pleasure to share this space with the um, um, one sec, one sec, one sec. Um, for me, it's a pleasure to share this space with one sec, um, with Her Excellency Laus Saget Tadase Abebe, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Ethiopia to Brazil and to Latin America, who's going to join us and who is going to who's going to speak about that kind of opportunities, of business opportunities, investment opportunities, and tourism opportunities that offers Ethiopia for us. But first, um, I want just to apologize. We have the ambassador back. Hi, hi,
Sorry
Doctor
for the
Chidete.
inconvenience.
Excuse me.
Sorry for the inconvenience. It was connection lost.
No, no, don't worry. Connection is that not working that well. But I just was saying that for me it's a pleasure to have you and to share this conversation today here and talking about that opportunities that offers Ethiopia for Latin American business and for the chamber it's like an more than welcome. So thanks, Ambassador Abebe. It's a pleasure to have you here. So yeah. So Ambassador, well, I want to say thanks. The floor is yours. If you could make like an introduction, and we would
Thank
like
you.
to know more about
Thank
in
you.
order to start. Um, well, let's start with Ethiopia. Yeah. Why Ethiopia? It's like a very good opportunity for Latin American countries to visit, to invest in Ethiopia, and what kind of businesses Ethiopia is already like ready to start and to get this community with the Latin American continent and work in South-South cooperation.
Mr. Sebastian Galindo, the Vice President, and thank you very much for this online. And I just want to reiterate my appreciation for the Latin America and Africa Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity. And I think this is a very useful platform to know about Ethiopia, particularly its business opportunities. And let me just start by giving you the highlights, of Ethiopia. Where is Ethiopia located? Ethiopia is located in the eastern part of Africa. Ethiopia is one of the ancient countries in the world. It has never been colonized, a symbol of Pan-Africanism. In fact, the headquarters of the African Union, which is the continental organization of Africa, is located in the capital city of Ethiopia. In fact, Addis Ababa is the third largest diplomatic hub, diplomatic center in the world. Just next to
Ambassador, just want to follow up
New
your
York.
Ambassador. I think that is we do not have a stable connection. Just want to follow up.
And Geneva. So Addis Ababa is also a center of African diplomacy. If you have presence in Addis Ababa, that means you can have connections and partnerships with all African countries. Ethiopia is also the second most populous country in Africa. Ethiopia is million. If I'm most populous country in Africa, Ethiopia is also one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Yes, in the world. Our economy has continuing its growth for 6-7 consecutively. And this, as I said, one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. In terms of the size of the economy, Ethiopia has the largest economy in East Africa and the fifth largest economy in Africa. Let me also highlight Ethiopia is all for business. The Ethiopian government is in the ownership of the private sector.
I just want
Economic
to
reforms. Economic reforms, among others, to create a favorable business environment for international investors. Now,
I just want to apologize. Ambassador is having some internet issue connection. So let's wait for a second if he could back with his connection. He's joining us from Brasilia, but the internet connection, I think that we're having some troubles. Nos disculpamos, estamos teniendo un inconveniente con la conectividad con la embajada. Estamos tratando de hacer la reconexión posible. Entonces, justamente como lo establecía el señor embajador, Etiopía es pues, un centro diplomático completamente importante en África, es la sede de la Unión Africana y pues obviamente es uno de los temas que también nos lleva a esta cuarta misión empresarial que ya realizamos desde la Cámara de Comercio Latinoamericana, ¿no? Buscando corroborar y acercarnos también a esos temas de manejo diplomático y a esos temas de manejo de creación de nuevas oportunidades que se generan como tal. Entonces sí, justamente estamos teniendo unos inconvenientes, como les estaba comentando, pero déjenme validar cómo podemos continuar con nuestro webinar. Bueno, mientras retomamos conexión con Brasilia, también es de recordarles que desde la Cámara estamos realizando diferentes actividades. Una de ellas es que, para recordarles, el próximo 25 de mayo, del 25 al 29, nosotros estaremos en Sao Paulo, justamente. Brasil, pues, es uno de los principales Brasil es uno de los principales centros de desarrollo de negocio y es, digamos, el hub perfecto para que nosotros podamos unir y acercar mucho más rápido lo que son las relaciones comerciales entre África y Latinoamérica. Durante esta semana, pues obviamente estaremos aprendiendo de ambos escenarios y pues estaremos también reuniéndonos con la Embajada de Etiopía y será una muy buena oportunidad para llevar a cabo ese proceso, ¿no? Traer, conocer y que tanto empresarios los africanos que nos están acompañando en Sao Paulo como empresarios latinoamericanos pues puedan conocer de las dinámicas de ambos mercados. ¿Listo? Al parecer tenemos, el embajador logró, tenemos reconexión con Brasilia. I will change and I will switch to English. Ambassador, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ambassador? Ambassador?
Yes, yes, Mr. Sebastian, I can hear you. Sorry again for
Okay.
the connection.
No, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. The connection issues just happen. I was talking to our audience, the different activities that the chamber is carrying out, and and their activities, for example, that we're going to have in Sao Paulo in the following month. So, but yeah, so
Yes,
retaking our conversation, Ambassador, you were telling
yes, I
us.
can hear you, Mr. Sebastian.
Okay, that's perfect, Ambassador. Um, that's perfect. So, oh, he just drove back. Nos excusamos por los inconvenientes que estamos teniendo. So yeah, we would like to apologize for the inconvenience and for the internet connection that we're having troubles in Brasilia. So yeah, Nos disculpamos por los posibles inconvenientes que estamos teniendo de conexión ahorita con Brasilia y con la embajada. Ya estamos tratando, nuestro equipo está trabajando para volver a restablecer la conexión y poder, porque sabemos que estamos muy atentos de identificar cuáles son realmente esas oportunidades que nos ofrece Etiopía como país, su posición estratégica como hub de desarrollo, su creciente población, siendo una de las segundas poblaciones más grandes del continente africano. Entonces, nada, si seguimos, voy a validar con nuestro equipo si logramos restablecer conexión con Brasilia en este momento. Son las 10:23 de la mañana en Bogotá, son las 12:23 en Brasil y son las 6:23 de la tarde aproximadamente en Addis para aquellas personas que nos están siguiendo en nuestras diferentes redes sociales. Entonces,
Can you hear me now, Mr. Sebastian?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to follow up if you can hear me very well.
Yes. Sorry again, the connection is not good. Can I continue for 5 minutes?
Yeah, let's see how the connection was for the 5 following minutes, for sure. To review if we have like a stable connection.
Yeah. I hope so.
So, Ambassador, you were telling us where is Ethiopia and some important data about the country. And for example, that Ethiopia hosts the African Union and they have like a growing population. And that's like some interesting data that makes that is important for our audience that is looking to make new business opportunities or trying to understand why Ethiopia is like an important hub to develop business in Africa. So you can continue. The floor is yours, Ambassador, and hopefully we're not going to get more troubles with the connection.
I hope so. Again, sorry for the inconvenience because of the connection, but let me just continue that Ethiopia, as I said, is open for business. Every aspect of the economy is impact open for international investors. That I believe should be taken as an opportunity for Latin American investors. Sebastian. One is agriculture and agro-processing. Why? Because Ethiopia is endowed with... Hello?
Can you hear us? Excuse me, because we're not
Yes.
listening that well. Not good.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay,
Yes.
let's go because your audio was not good.
Can you hear me now? And we have 5 priorities. And I said one is agriculture and agro-processing. Why? Because Ethiopia is naturally endowed with one of the best climate
Yes.
in the world. So agriculture is one of our mainstay of the Ethiopian economy. And when it comes to livestock, for example, in terms of cattle population, we are number 1 in Africa. So we believe agricultural and agro-processing industry could be one important priority for Ethiopia. So we invite Latin American countries to consider to invest in the agricultural and agro-processing sector. Agro-processing, for example, in the leather industry, in the textile sectors. And the second priority of investment for Ethiopia is manufacturing. We have more than 130 million people, and then more than 50% of the Ethiopian people are young. That means in terms of labor force, there is not going to be any challenge for investors if they intend to engage in textile, leather, and agro-processing industries. And I should also mention that Ethiopia has around 30 industrial zones that are already ready, waiting for international investors. For example, we have dedicated agricultural, agro-processing industrial zones. We have dedicated pharmaceutical industrial zones. So manufacturing is our second priority for investment. The third priority is tourism. Why tourism? Because as I have said earlier, Ethiopia is one of the ancient countries in the world. It has never been colonized, and it's a country of multi, religions and multi-ethnic groups. So we have a lot of cultures that we can show to Latin American countries. And now recently we have been building new tourism destinations. This tourism sector remains one of our top priorities, and the country has registered around 17 historical, religious, cultural sites by UNESCO. So we have a lot to show to the international community, to the Latin American community. So tourism remains one of our important investment sectors. So if, for example, you want to build hotels or resorts, Ethiopia is one of the best locations for you to consider. And then the fourth priority is mining. The fifth priority is digital sector. I invite Latin American investors to consider to invest in Ethiopia in these five top priority areas: agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, including construction, pharmaceutical. As I've said, we have dedicated industrial zones, tourism, mining, and digital. Last point before I conclude is why Ethiopia and Latin America are connected. It seems that we are very far from each other geographically, but thanks to the Ethiopian Airlines, we are connected because Ethiopian Airlines is the best airline in Africa. That's why Addis Ababa, Ethiopia is Africa's aviation hub. And I'm happy to tell you that Ethiopian Airlines has a daily direct flights to Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires. Every day, direct flights to Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires. I think this has to be taken as a unique opportunity that facilitates the movement of people, goods, and of course, services. So let's take advantage of Ethiopian Airlines daily direct flight to the continent. I'm also happy to say that Ethiopian Airlines has 5 times a week, a dedicated cargo service directly from Sao Paulo, Addis Ababa to Sao Paulo to Bogota to Santiago, Chile. So Ethiopian Airlines connects us. Yes, it seems geographically we are far from each other, but thanks to the Ethiopian Airlines, both its excellent passengers as well as its cargo services connect Ethiopia and Latin America. Ethiopian Airlines connects Africa and Latin America. And from our side, the Ethiopian embassy in Brasilia covers the entire Latin America continent. I am ready to support you, to answer your questions, and to support you to know Ethiopia, to know its business opportunities. And we are ready to facilitate virtual meeting with anyone interested. And of course, ultimately, we are very much ready to facilitate visits, business trips to Ethiopia. Again, Mr. Sebastian, it's an opportunity for me to explain why Ethiopia is open for business. My colleagues at the embassy and myself, I'm ready anytime. Again, I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk briefly about Ethiopia's investment opportunities. If you have any questions, of course, I'm pleased to answer. Thank you very much for the opportunity again, Mr. Sebastian.
Well, thank you, Ambassador, for this insight information about why it's important to visit Ethiopia and where like this kind of sectors that offers like a very good business opportunities for any Latin American company that are looking to expand their network. We have a question here about this. How it works like the cultural business environment in Ethiopia? What are like the main challenge that we have in order to get and to arrive with Ethiopian businesses? What are the recommendations taken in mind, the culture, yeah, the different culture aspects that the Latin American company must have or must know about Ethiopia?
Thank you for the question. The mainstay of the Ethiopian economy is agriculture, and agriculture contributes for our GDP, for our export. Let me give you practical examples. Ethiopia is the origin of coffee. So whenever we think about coffee, many people may not know it, but Ethiopia is the origin of coffee. Let me also add that we have the largest cattle population in Africa, the fifth largest in the world. I think these are some of the unique opportunities for investors, but we are also exporting, a lot of agricultural products for Europe, America, and Middle East. When it comes to agriculture, we have unique advantage. One is land is abundantly available. Land is abundantly available, and I think that should be taken as one unique opportunity. Another thing I mentioned earlier is also we have dedicated agro-processing industrial zones. I think we have industrial parks in each and every corner of the country. If we have investors, I think they would get a ready-made industrial park waiting for them. So we have also incentives for the agricultural, investment. So we are ready to talk about the details, but I can assure you, given the size of our market, which I mentioned earlier, 130 million people, and of course, any investor, any Latin American investor coming to Ethiopia will not worry about market access because Ethiopia itself provides huge market opportunity, but also if you invest in Ethiopia, you have market access to the entire African continent. So I encourage Latin American investors to consider Ethiopia as one business destination for their agricultural investment. Thank you, Mr. Sebastian.
Thanks, Ambassador. And I take that to think about coffee. That is something that gave the bridge. Yeah, Ethiopia is one of the biggest producers of coffee, and Latin America at the same time. In some regions we have the production of coffee. So it's something that brings up and creates this kind of relationship. Well, we have a question from Chile, yeah, and they're interested to know more about well, businesses, but about at the same time universities. Are there, or how it works, like for exchange of universities, exchange of students? Do you have any numbers that you can tell us the exchange of between Ethiopia and Brazil, Chile, and America?
Thank you very much for the question. Uh, we have given important priority for the educational sector because we have to produce students that are going to contribute for society. So education is a very important part of the ongoing economic reform of Ethiopia. And I am happy to tell you that we have competent, efficient public universities throughout the country. And of course, we have given opportunity for the private sector to open quality in educational institutions. So we have public colleges and universities as well as privately owned educational institutions up to university level. Just to give you the highlights, the Ethiopian market requires, or at least gets 3 million new job seekers every year. 3 million job seekers every year. So we give top priority for quality education because it is this labor force that's going to help us achieve prosperity in Ethiopia. So education remains one of the pillars of the Ethiopian economic reform, and we also give high attention for vocational training. This is also very important for us to produce efficient labor force for the industrial sector. We also encourage research and technology among universities, both public and private owned universities. So we do really believe in manpower, quality manpower. That's one of the advantages that we have. Very dedicated, trainable workforce, and we are working in order to continuously, reform the education sector so that we can have effective, efficient, competent labor force. Thank you.
No, thanks, Ambassador, for this insightful information about the workforce, the work labor, and the work that is doing by the embassy in exchange of university knowledge for both markets. We have a question here at the same time about logistics. Which is the main port of Addis, which is the best way. You already told us about the flight connection cargo that we have with Ethiopian Airlines, but for example, there are like any maritime route from Brazil, or where on how long it takes from logistic issues.
Thank you, Mr. Sebastian, for this question. When we talk about the overall modernization of the Ethiopian economy, when we discuss about reforming the Ethiopian economy, government has given logistics a top priority. In fact, we have a Ministry of Transport and Logistics, and the ministry has been introducing a lot of new policies and strategies to create a very efficient, effective logistics sector. So we have given it high priority. That's why it has been organized at a ministerial level. That itself shows you how we have given a political attention to the importance of logistics. That's number one. Number two, let me mention that we have, of course, Ethiopian Airlines, which is, as I said earlier, the best airline in Africa and one of the best airlines in the world. It provides both, obviously, passengers, flights,
Ambassador?
and then, of course, cargo service. This cargo service, as I mentioned earlier, includes Latin America. The hub of the cargo service of Ethiopian Airline is located in Colombia, Bogota, for Latin America. We have an office in Bogota dedicated for cargo service. And as I mentioned earlier, 5 times a week, Ethiopian Airlines has cargo flights to Sao Paulo, from Sao Paulo to Bogota, from Bogota to Chile, Santiago. I think this would definitely address the issue of logistics. But we have also, that's my second point, we have also the Ethiopian shipping lines. It's one of the best shipping lines in Africa. So it has huge fleets, huge vessels. So I can assure you, logistics remains one of our top priorities. And if we start trade, logistics would not be an obstacle, but it will be, in fact, a means to facilitate our trade exchange. Thank you.
Okay. No, thanks for the thanks for just logistics point of view and how Bogota is at the same time is working with Ethiopian Airlines to develop this business and logistics hub in order to connect Africa in a faster way. And it's just like in less than 48 hours of product from Latin America could get to Addis. And from Addis with Ethiopian Airlines, we can make connections through the other 53 countries around the African continent. So I think that this is an important step that from your work from the embassy in Latin America, we're doing in order like to get connected both continents. So this is something that very interesting for the people that are that these kind of connections. So it's been like people, for example, who are in Bogota, who are in Quito, who are in Caracas, who are in Lima. We just get through Sao Paulo, and from Sao Paulo fly direct to Addis, and we have very good connection. But at the same time, logistics. We have cargo flights from Buenos Aires at the same time, from Sao Paulo, from Colombia. So we're in that good way and in this good path to make and to create these connections between Ethiopia. So thanks. It's like it's an amazing news that you are giving us today, and that's why we're going to be there for sure in November. And I have a final question because time is running out. It's easy to get a visa to get to travel to Ethiopia. How is the process? For example, if I am in Bogota or if I am in Quito or if I am in Lima or in Santiago de Chile, how is the process to get the visa and how long it takes how long the visa process takes for an investor or any company that wants to visit Ethiopia?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian, for this very practical question. We have two ways. One is you can apply online, Ethiopia visa, and you can get visa online. So you can finish it online. Or if you plan to visit Ethiopia for business, the Ethiopian embassy in Brasilia is ready and pleased to facilitate visa on arrival. Visa on arrival. So you will give us the details of your flights, the details of course, your passport, and then, of course, as long as you are traveling for business, the Ethiopian embassy in Brasilia will be happy at any time to facilitate for you so that you can get visa on arrival when you arrive in Addis Ababa. So these are the two ways to get visa for Latin American, investors. Thank you.
Okay, and how long it's going to take? For example, it's going to take because you might know that some to get a visa sometimes it takes like 1 week, 2 weeks, or even longer than that. How long it to take the e-process visa? How long it's going to take? And for example, the business visa. How long? Like I need to, for example, we're
Yes.
going to have a business. How long it takes in order like to get all the things of being approval by the embassy or the Ethiopian entities.
Yes, thank you again. Online visa is going to take 24 hours maximum, and then if there are issues, we can also intervene. So 24 hours for online visa service. And then if you want to get our support also through the through the Ethiopian embassy in Brasilia, we'll facilitate for you. You just give us the details, the arrival date, and then the purpose of your visit. Once we get that, we'll also give you in reply 24 hours, and then you will receive your visa on arrival in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So this is how the visa process has been expedited so far.
Wow, that's a very good news for the business people that are joining us today from Latin America. 24 hours visa on e-visa is going to be a good way to start to build these new relationships, no? Because that means that Ethiopia is opening to do business and to attract new foreign direct investment from different part of Latin America. At the same time, thanks for this process that could be for any business people that wants to go there to know in first hand the business landscape and the business environment that they have to offer, or if, for example, they want to go on a business meeting. I think that this is something very interesting for because sometimes we do not have this kind of information, and sometimes to get a visa to visit some African countries is quite a little bit harder for Latin Americans. So getting that news, it's very excited for us. Well, Ambassador, do you want to get any further and a close remarks, taking in mind the next activities that we're going to have from the Latin African Chamber of Commerce? And please
Thank you.
invite all the community to visit Ethiopia and join us in this mission.
Thank you. Thank you. First, my thanks goes to you, Mr. Sebastian. Really, we are very grateful for this opportunity, for this platform to get to know the Latin America business community. So we are very grateful for you, for your time, for your leadership. Much appreciated. Of course, my invitation will be to all Latin American business community. I tell you, this is high time to invest in Ethiopia because more than any other time, Ethiopia is open for business. Win-win partnership is waiting for you. And the Ethiopian embassy in Brasilia, myself, my colleagues, we are ready to really serve you to make sure that you know the best of Ethiopia. So we look like geographically very far, but thanks to the Ethiopian Airlines, as I said, you can have breakfast in Sao Paulo and dinner in Addis Ababa. This is how much we are close. So let's take this advantage, and I invite you to invest and to visit Ethiopia. Thank you very much again.
No, thanks very much, Ambassador. It's, for me and the business people and the business communities that join us today. It was on a very insightful information about the main sectors, the main activities, the connections that we have, that Ethiopia is open for, and the visa is not going to be an issue to handle, and how we are like a more closer as we thought, yeah. Because if you look them up, like they're like in a huge distance, but we're closer, as you said. We can have our breakfast in Sao Paulo and eat in Addis. That will be awesome. No, well, I will just want to say thanks so much for the embassy for your help and for the different activities that we have been carried out in Sao Paulo the last year, and that we're going to carry out in May, and for sure that we're going to be visit your country. We're like so grateful for this opportunity and for the people who's going to join us in this business mission. So from the Latin African Chamber of Commerce, it was a pleasure to have this space to exchange this kind of ideas, to get this first-hand information. I will switch to Spanish in order to close, and thanks very much. Bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos los que nos han acompañado en este webinar sobre esta importación y estas características claves de lo que es el mercado de Etiopía, la conectividad que nos ofrece y las posibilidades que como tal el gobierno está ampliando para aquellos visitantes que estemos interesados, que nos acompañen en nuestra próxima misión comercial en Etiopía y Egipto. Y pues bueno, para nosotros como Cámara de Comercio Latinoamericana es un gusto compartir estos espacios de creación, conocimiento y difusión de las diferentes oportunidades que representa el continente africano para los empresarios y para los inversores latinoamericanos. Muchísimas gracias a todos, ha sido realmente un placer por compartir estos espacios y nos veremos en uno próximo. Nos vemos próximamente en Sao Paulo y a finales de mes en Addis. So thanks, Ambassador. Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone that was to join us. See you in the next opportunity and see you in Sao Paulo for sure in May.
Thank you, muito obrigado. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Gracias.
Gracias, perfecto.